Oh, shit. This is the first time I've ever done this. I just did the whole video for 12 minutes and I wasn't recording. I just did such a good job. Dude, the video I just did was so much better. I can do it again, I swear. Okay, this is an album review. Man, it just feels so cheesy to do it a second time around. I am going to be reviewing for the second time, In Mordor, Where the Shadows Lie, a tribute to Summoning on Wolfspell Records. I just got this in the other day. In my last video, I told you I was going to be listening to it on the road trip, and I have. I listened to it twice. No, 3 times. I listened to this 3 times in like 3 days. It's that fucking good. Really fucking enjoyed this. By the way, we're listening to disc 1 in the background. Let's start off with the things I don't like about this, because they are few and far between. The box is pretty delicate and kind of chintzy, so I would say just put this on your shelf and forget about it. Just treat this as a stack of 3 CDs from now on. It's pretty beautiful, pretty well done, embossing and all that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't trust this as a Kleenex box. I don't. Another thing about it that was kind of bothered by, something is weird with the manufacturing of the jewel cases on here, and there's like some extra plastic in here. This is real nerd content here. And when I pulled the booklet out of each one of these, and I even saw another YouTuber talking about how they fucked up the booklets just because of this plastic right here. I took a knife and had to cut out the plastic here so that I can get the booklets out and look through them. Because the booklets are decent, it shows a little band profile of each band that's on there, some quotes from Lord of the Rings, some quotes from the band's photos, lineups, logos. Really well done. I appreciate when a tribute album has a little more content, stuff to read through and check out while you're listening to it. So that was nice. The paintings on the covers of them, they're alright. I realize that it's kind of a weird line to toe with the label, you know, having all this Lord of the Rings content without actually having, or being able to say Lord of the Rings without having some copyright issues or infringement going on. But that's really all about it. Everything else on this thing is awesome. So another really cool little note about it that I liked and appreciated was that the tributes 1, 2, and 3 are done chronologically through Summoning's discography. So disc 1 starts off with Lugbers, and the end of disc 3 has songs from Old Morning's Dawn. The bands that were chosen for this release is I think a really great selection of bands. It's not like a bunch of heavy-hitting, huge, awesome bands, but enough really well-known and talented bands who have established themselves as knowing what the fuck is up for quite a while now, like Caladan Brood, with Drujisi Weater, Eldamar, Evil Feast, Weird, Azigal, Midnight Odyssey. So, you know, a lot of newer generation bands, nothing huge or anything. So it's really interesting to hear bands that I guess like don't really have a lot at stake, and this is really their kind of thing. It's like that's how they were chosen, is like more bands who were taking the torch from Summoning and passing it along as they go forward and you know, start getting recognition in the next few years. So disc 1 starts off with is this Messerthim doing Grey Heavens. First couple of songs are from Lugbers, and then we go into, obviously, songs from Minas Morgul. Thy Light does Lugbers, and a band called Opalan does Passing of the Grey Company. They do an awesome fucking job on the Passing of the Grey Company. I thought it was really unique what they did, taking the synth parts and playing them on guitar. You know, those synth parts are just really iconic. As with all of their songs, there's those elements of Summoning songs that make them so memorable and made them stand out, and maybe made people question their legitimacy back in the day because of how strange some of their instrumentation sounded on their albums. And it's something that they've taken on throughout the years and championed so well. But honestly, I think I kind of like that more about the early albums, and I feel like Old Morning's Dawn was kind of taking it into a more legitimate, believable, and grandiose sort of atmosphere. And I think that might be where I kind of get lost in Summoning's discography because I really like that iconic sort of removal from reality. You know, my girlfriend and I were talking about it, and it was really an interesting discussion where I guess what I came up with was that there's this instrumentation that sounds so corny and cheesy, like you could just go to Goodwill and spend $20 on a Casio keyboard and hit orchestra and then write black metal over it, and it could sound like Summoning. I guess that would be, you know, a shitty way of saying it, but it does have some truth to it. There's instrumentation that just, it sounds like they decided, well, we obviously can't have, you know, $1,000 timpanis and horn sections and choruses and strings on our black metal album, so let's just go with something else. And what that was, I think, establishes that it is fantasy music, and it helps you instantly recognize that it's stepping away from reality in their songs. Like, I guess I kind of likened it to, like, you know, the Lord of the Rings movies. We've all seen them, love them. There's a ton of CGI content in those movies, and that I feel establishes it so far away from reality, and you know, depicts a historical time, even though it's fantasy. And it takes you away from reality by not trying to be reality and saying, we are fantasy, this is totally outlandish beasts crawling across the mountains of Mordor and shit like this. And so I guess to ask this band and this music to have some of a more legitimate instrumentation would be to ask it to step away from fantasy, the identifiable fantasy elements of the music. So that's what I love about Summoning, and that's kind of the branding and the torch that I think is carried on from Summoning to a lot of these bands, and they do it so well. There's a lot of little nuances and things that I feel it's interesting to see that they took some things that I might not have considered about Summoning songs and brought them to the forefront, or changed them up a little bit, done them with different instrumentations or tempos. It was just kind of a new way to enjoy Summoning in a different sort of realm. So at the end of disc 1, you've got Demonic Slaughter and Kalmankantai. God, I'm really trying to get better at pronouncing band names correctly, but that one, not good. Anyways, if you don't understand anything I'm saying in this video, check the description below for a link to the Bandcamp, where you can either stream the whole thing, download the whole thing, or buy the triple CD box set like I did. It's €29. I don't see any. I did some research here before I did the video, looking to see if there were any distros in the US carrying it, and I couldn't find anything. So it looks like for now you're probably going to have to pony up between $40 and $50 to get this thing to the United States. If there are any labels brave enough out there, I think you would probably sell the shit out of these things if you were to order maybe a wholesale amount of these. So get on it if you're thinking about it. This tribute is fucking great. So the second disc moves into Galder doing Angband's Schmeaden, Weird doing Nightshade Forest, Avatar doing Elfstone, and I'm kind of bummed on here. Stronghold is one of my favorite Summoning albums, if not my favorite. I go between that and Minas Morgul. I feel like Stronghold is kind of moving away from, like I said, the cheesy fantasy instrumentation, and a little bit more believable, but still quite believable. I found myself so immersed in that album. Especially, I'm really surprised no one chose to cover the second song, or there's kind of like a long intro that moves into the second song on Stronghold. I'm surprised nobody covered that. The only covers from Stronghold were Wadruja Wiater doing the White-Eyed Goddess. It's in Polish on here, I'm not sure. Like some white marble eyes, I guess that's what they're saying. And then Midnight Odyssey does one of the deep cuts on that Stronghold album, Where Hope and Daylight Die. And I heard Midnight Odyssey one time. I'm not too familiar with them. I liked them. But on here, the job they did with the Summoning cover is the dud. Out of all these bands, there's only one bad cover, and I gotta say, it just fucking bugged the shit out of me. The way they changed up the drum pattern on here made it sound like a fucking deathcore song or something. Just made my fucking skin crawl. It's terrible what they did. and I just can't give it a pass. But everything else on here, I swear, fucking awesome job. Mirkwood is a band from Missouri, a solo project, doing The Rotting Horse on the Deadly Ground, and rounding it off with Severoth. Third one, you've got Dreams of Nature doing A New Power is Rising, which is just like a short intro song, if I remember correctly. Caladan Brood doing Farewell, the last song from Let Mortal Heroes Sing Your Fame. Then you've got Evil Feast doing like a sort of a, what do you call that? 2 songs at once, a medley. That's it. Doing Arkenstone and Mortund. But Evil Feast, I think of them as a black metal band doing, synthy black metal, but this is just all synth. Emyn Mule doing Menegroth. Eldamar doing Land of the Dead, which, let's see here. Old Morning's Dawn. Land of the Dead must be on... Yeah, Land of the Dead was the last song on Oathbound. Love that album. And then Elderwind does Flamifer, which is on Old Morning's Dawn. Elderwind is a killer fucking band. I love their debut. I was a little disappointed. I'm not familiar with that song very much. I've probably listened to Old Morning's Dawn maybe 8 to 10 times, and I'm still... The jury's out on it. I'm not sure what I think about it. Like I said, it sounds a little bit more trying to use real orchestration and instrumentation, stepping away from that fantasy element for me. But overall, this is a killer buy. I would recommend getting it for sure. Sorry if I seem a little disheartened in this video, because I love this fucking tribute, and I did an awesome job talking about it in my first video. This is the first time I've fucked up. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing. We'll see you next time.